Here's a clip from our latest episode of Booked on Rock. Robert Margouleff, his memoir, Shaping Sounds, Stevie Wonder, Devo, The Synth Revolution, and My Life Behind the Music. So walk us through how songs like Living for the City come together from a production standpoint.
Living for the City. I called Steve on the phone. I love him to death, by the way. Steve is a remarkable person. But I called him on the phone and I asked him, I said, Steve, what do you remember about when we were recording Living for the City? It was one of the first things we recorded. And he said, it was raining. I mean, who remembers that from 50 years ago?
Yeah.
Right? But it was at a time when the kids from the South, the black kids from the South, were beginning to try to figure out to find a way to make a living. And some of them were coming to New York, and others were going to Detroit to work in the car factories. And it was the time of civil rights. It was the time of Norman Pettus Bridge and the Civil Rights Act in 58 or 59. Lyndon Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, and there was equality, and there were U.S. Marshals, bringing little girls to school, black girls to school in the South with guns. And there was a lot of roiling around. And a few years later, with Devo, for example, it was Kent State, where the National Guard killed a whole bunch of students on campus, and Jerry and Gerald and Mark were there as art students when that happened. They too were very politically oriented. The other one artist from Motown who really sort of was doing it was a guy named Marvin Gaye. It was also during that time, uh, was sort of instrumental in making music that was political, more political. And Steve really wanted to be a political person, and he was 21 years old. He was filled with idealism and talent. The top of his head was exploding, basically, and he finally got out from underneath the his contract, which expired on his 21st birthday, and he didn't want to do the Motown formula where the band would come in through the kitchen and the clients and the audience would come in through the front door, and play this formulaic kind of Motown sort of music hall kind of stuff, uh, with the same core band and the same discipline, and sort of told how to behave in front of a wide audience. And it was kind of very, uptight in a certain way, but it got the music in front of a wide audience, which was critical for selling records. I mean, what really changed for Steve, for example, was going out with the Stones. That was really brought his music in front of a huge wide audience. But it was a time when he wanted to be his own person, his own individual person. And Malcolm and I aided and abetted him. He always calls us his associate producers, which is fine. He can call me whatever he wants. But I think that those 4 records really speak for themselves. And whatever we were, whatever we did together, the formulaic thing behind it was magical. I can't explain it. I don't know. I can't understand. Even for me to listen to the sound of my own wheels is, I'm still sort of puzzled by it all in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
The thing is this, we never went in there with the idea, oh, we're going to do music of my mind. We got to get 12 songs for this album or that album or whatever. Steve and me and Malcolm, we just started recording. We just started the tape rolling, right? And we do, I don't know, 5 or 6 songs. We put them in the library and an archive, basically. Then we do a whole bunch more songs, and maybe the 20 songs. And we go back and we pick ones up and say, let's put background vocals on this one. Or what do you want to do with this one, Steve? You want to add a new bass line? What do you have in mind? He would walk into the time of Superstition. He walked into the studio. We didn't know Superstition, this or that. It wasn't Jeff Beck time or any of that. It was before. He'd just come in off the road from the Stone store. And he said, walked into the studio and said, let's record the drums. Oh, what's the song, Stevie? Well, you'll hear it. He walked in the studio, and 20 minutes later, he walked out of the studio and played the drum track for Superstition with no other music. Okay. It was all upstairs. It was all up here, right? And he played the drum track, and then we went back, and then suddenly Superstition emerged because we started putting clavinet tracks on it. But if you listen to those clavinet tracks, we used a lot of tape delay to get them to repeat. You'll hear where they collide, where they're not perfect, because the thing is moving. Okay. But that movement is what created the funk, you see. And you 8 bars of that, you do it, and you'll see those tracks are in motion, but it's that motion that creates the funk.
Wow. So yeah, I think that story was he just sat behind the drum kit. Like nobody knew he was going to do that.
It
He just
was
started playing.
all up here.
Yeah.
He has a remarkable mind. I mean, maybe it's because he's unsighted, but he has a memory like it's a steel trap up there. Like I said, when we were doing Live for the City, first thing out of his mouth is it was raining. Says it all to me.
And essentially he's writing songs in his head.
Yeah, he is a remarkable, magical person. And God came down and put his thumb on his forehead. That's all I can tell you. There's no answer. There's no logical reason or anything else. It's just that's the way he was born. And he is an incredible human being. He's not perfect. None of us are perfect in every way. You know, he has his own issues, just like everybody else. But the thing is, he did change the culture, and we helped him do that. But in many ways, we were creative and everything, but we were his handmaidens, basically. He was the one who came up with the songs. We didn't come up with the songs. We came up with the orchestrations and the sounds and engineering and storing the information, encouraging him, and whatever we did to blow on the coals and everything else. But the bottom line is Stevie and his God.
Listen to the full episode wherever you get your podcasts.